It's time for Brush Street Beat, presented by our friends at McLaren Healthcare. Joining us today is Tigers writer for the Detroit News, Chris McCosky. Chris, as always, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us again.
No, this is a blast. I appreciate it, you guys.
And we have actually a lot to talk about. The Tigers have been in the headlines quite a bit since the last time that we talked. And the first thing I want to touch on is the addition of some more pitching depth with the signing of right-handed pitcher Erasmo Ramirez to a minor league contract with the invitation to spring training. What do you think of this move, and what kind of potential does Ramirez have for the Tigers?
Well, he's depth, and that he's been signed to provide, because as we've talked about a lot, even on this program, they're going to go through a lot of pitchers just because of last year, the shortened season. So he's depth. He'll probably start in Toledo. He's a veteran guy, kind of a rubber arm type guy who can give a lot of innings and a lot of roles. It's not Jose Urena was the guy that's going to be in the rotation. That's the signing that will probably have more impact, or they're counting on him having more impact. But Erasmo is just a veteran guy, solid guy, that will just fill in as needed, and he will be needed at some point.
Chris, you bring it, and I brought this up since we talked about it the first time here on the Word on Woodward, and every Tiger guest we've had since, and I always attribute it to you that, in the course of our conversation, that there could be a lot of the Tigers could have 10 to 14 starting pitchers this year simply because nobody hit innings pitched. That's amazing. How do you see this kind of unfolding? Danielle and I were talking about, she said, I should ask, Chris, who he envisions in his top 5 starters, or his top. I go, hey, top 5, who's his top 12? I mean, how far is this going to go? How far is this going to go?
No, you're onto it, man. AJ Hinch, manager, talked about it recently, in fact, and nothing is off the table. I mean, the 6-man rotation is on the table, not for the whole season, but for parts of the season, where they want to kind of elongate guys and stretch guys longer between starts. They can go to a 6-man rotation. They can use a lot of long relievers. That's why I think Daniel Norris and Tyler Alexander are so valuable, even if they're not in the rotation, which they have a chance to be, the initial rotation. They're so valuable that they can come in a second or third or fourth inning and finish the game if they're throwing well. So they're valuable guys. You're right. And then that's Erasmo Ramirez was, that's part of that reason. They're going to have to go at least 10 deep, because that 5 that's going to be in Toledo to start are going to pitch up here at some point. They're not sure how long they're going to be able to use Tarek Skubal and Casey Mize, whether or not they're even going to make the team to start. I think they're still looking for another starting pitcher. They've been going to showcases, Julio Teheran, Anibal Sanchez. There's some guys that they're looking at. So there's going to be another veteran pitcher, maybe 2, that'll be here before the end of spring training.
Chris, on the offensive side of things for the Tigers, AJ Hinch was on MLB Network Radio, and he said that the Tigers need to be better against right-handed pitchers. And I know that you recently wrote about this in one of your articles, but what are some of the possible solutions for the Tigers?
Well, I mean, they can't get any worse against the last 2 years they've been at the bottom against right-handed pitching. And when you feel, they face right-handed pitching 3 times more than left-handers throughout the course of the season. So that's kind of a big hole. If you're not hitting right-handers, you're not winning games. The thing is, there's guys out there that would help immediately that are probably not in their realm or not in their grasp. Guys like a Jock Peterson, would help. I don't know how expensive he would be. Probably too expensive for their taste right about now. Colton Wong at second base, how good would that look? He would change that all around as well. And I'm not sure he's going to go that way, or the Tigers are going to go that way. I'm sorry. I think guys that they could be looking at, lesser expensive veteran guys like I threw out names like Danny Santana, who hits the heck out of right-handed pitching. He's a first baseman, third baseman, more of a first baseman, I think, at this point. A guy like Keith Moreland, a veteran guy, left-handed hitter, can rake against right-handers. Guys like that. At the catcher position, Jason Castro or Alex Avila would help. If they're going to get a catcher eventually before the start of the season. So those 2 guys would help against that. Again, probably not the sexy names people want to hear, but functional guys. Robbie Grossman wasn't a sexy name coming in here. He's going to help immeasurably with his approach and everything, and his ability to hit both right and lefties. So that's kind of what they're looking to fix fix that with, and it's got to get fixed if they're going to be even 70 wins,
Chris, I have to ask you about this. We talked to Dan Dickerson on Tuesday's show about the fact that the Tigers have 5 of the top 100 Major League Baseball prospects, and all 5 of them break the top 50. So it's pretty impressive that the Tigers have that yet again, the second year in a row now. We've got Riley Green on there, Tarek Skubal, Casey Mize, Matt Manning, and of course, Spencer Torkelson. And Dan brought up a point that Riley Green may be on a faster track to Detroit than we may have thought. What do you think about that? And what is the timeline for all of these guys? It's really exciting to have that many top prospects in your organization.
Yeah, it is. It is exciting. And those guys are legitimate prospects, not fake media prospects. They are legit. They can play. And the timeline's tricky. Having lost last year for a lot of those guys was very hurtful. I think the fact that none of those guys played a whole lot and didn't play competitively really against other teams set everything back a year. Like if they had played, maybe this year the Tigers would have gone out and spent more money on some other guys, veteran guys, and let those kids come up throughout the course of 21. But now, now it's not going to be that way because they lost that year. Riley Green is on a faster track. There's no doubt about it. He's 20 years old, and they're already going to start him at Double-A. So that's amazing right there. They're going to bypass high A altogether. At least that's the tentative plan. He's an amazing talent. He's got a great heart, and he's kind of a leader guy already at that age. So that's an encouraging thing. But again, it all depends. Guys look great. Prospects come up and they struggle early, and people fall off them. And that happens with almost everybody, with maybe the exception of Mike Trout or people like that. But it's a hard transition to make. So let's not get ahead of ourselves with some of these guys. Like Torkelson's not coming up in 21. Riley's probably not coming up in 21. But give those guys this year to get back to playing regularly and facing live pitching from other teams. And let's talk in 22 because those guys will be knocking on the door.
Oh, well, I already anointed Riley Green the next superstar on our game day live show at Joe Louis Arena during the Red Wing game.
Arena there, Art.
Oh yeah. What did I say?
God, Art is so overhype a guy. That's just so not.
Right. I am definitely cautious in everything I do. I wanted to ask you about the international signing period. The Tigers went out and got a couple of young shortstops, one from the Dominican Republic, who they paid the largest, signing bonus ever, $2.95 million, Christian Santana, and then one from Venezuela at one point, I think it was 1.175. I could have that wrong. Abel Bastadas. I know I butchered his name, but they're 17. Are they fast tracked? Are these the guys we should be talking about, Chris?
Art, no, please. Take a tentative, man. You remember the name of Roberto Campos?
Yes.
The name, remember?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
How do you like him so far?
Yeah.
Yes, the country yet.
I'm a little discouraged.
No, you guys are 16 years old, Art, 17 years old. They're not going to be here for a minute. They're not going to be here for 4 years at the earliest. But it's good that they're stocking their organization with guys that are international players who, for a long time, they ignored. So it's good. You see all these teams that are competing; they all have international stars at the forefront of their team. So it's an avenue. Tom Moore does a great job, really unheralded behind the scenes, of organizing all this stuff. But if we start looking at the guys that they signed on that international draft day as, oh my God, when are they coming? We're going to have a lot of anxiety going forward. Let's get Riley here first.
Chris, I'm glad that we have you to keep Art level-headed because he gets way too amped up sometimes.
No, that's why we love him, though. That's why we love him.
Very true. Chris, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We really appreciate it, as always.
No, I do too. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you.
A big thank you to McLaren Healthcare as well for presenting Brush Street Beat right here on the Word on Woodward.